It's time to break down some football.
We got to get our mind right. Touchdown, win.
From the perspective of guys who played in the NFL.
Caught, touchdown!
And a guy who had one really great sack in high school.
Oh, you're so weak. You're a waste of my time.
Greg Camarillo and Marcus McNeil are the pros. And Scraby is the Joe.
Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
Two Pros and a Joe starts right now.
All right, I have no idea what's going on. I'm trying to read this thing, but it's
nobody does, Greg.
Yeah, I mean, I know. Let's just start the episode because I'm over here like brain cramping because I'm trying to figure out these new COVID protocols, which we're going to get into here on this episode of Two Pros and a Joe, episode number 49. Thank you to everyone who has been listening. We have a very special guest on the episode today. So real quick, we're just going to I'll tell you what we're going to go through. We're going to talk about John Madden. We're going to talk about, unfortunately, he passed away at the age of 85. We're going to talk about some of the better teams in the NFL right now, maybe some Joe Burrow beating the Ravens. And we also are going to talk about this COVID issue with Carson Wentz and all of that. So with that, Greg Camarillo, one of our pros here on the show, Marcus McNeil, our other pro here on the show. And let's welcome the third pro, Greg Camarillo. Take it away.
All right. Our third pro, Legedu Naanee. It's an interesting story because we're friends. I like this guy, but it didn't always start out that way. So in 2007, after 2 years I've been in the NFL, you always watch the draft, right? And you look at your position, you're like, man, I hope they don't draft somebody in my position. So you're stressing out. You're watching the TV. Chargers, round one, pick Craig Buster Davis. Okay, we need a receiver. I get that. Round one, no problem. Let's go. What was it, round 5?
Yeah, it's
fifth round. Wide receiver Legedu Naanee from Boise State. And I'm like, well, fuck, there goes my spot. And I was thinking, you know what? 5th round, if he sucks, they'll cut him. You know, I'm just hopefully he's not a nice guy. I don't need to like him, and hopefully he sucks at football. And probably saw it. But it didn't work out that way. He was a really nice guy, and he was really good at football. So he had a hell of a career from that moment forward. Very fortunate to say that we built a relationship from there. Somebody I called a teammate, somebody I call a friend. And now that we call a guest on Two Pros and a Joe, Legedu Naanee, thank you for joining us, my man.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
For sure. Now, Greg and I were talking before everybody got on here that you went to Boise State, and I was reading that you came in playing quarterback. Is that correct? You came out of high school and they were the only school that gave you an option to play quarterback, right?
Well, my first offer was to Colorado to play quarterback. That was my junior year. So, but you know, your junior year, you're like, oh, there's more meat on the bone. So I was like, I didn't accept that. And then most of my offers were as an athlete. So not even saying you'll be receiver. They're saying as an athlete, we'll get you here and we'll see where you fit.
Did you play defense?
And I played safety. I played safety and quarterback. So Boise was the one school that was like, we'll strictly recruit you as a quarterback. We'll never ask you to play another position. Was the sales tag. That's how they got me in the door.
Of course.
So yeah, that's how it started. Yeah.
And then I also read the unfortunate, you had the realization that you're going to have to play another position if you wanted to stay a part of that team. And it worked out for you. Obviously you went to the NFL playing a wide receiver. So that's awesome. The only thing I want to ask you is if you were playing today in this world of COVID, when we're having quarterbacks like Ian Book playing, and we have quarterbacks like last year, we had the practice squad wide receiver. I can't remember his name right now. Would you be willing to play NFL quarterback if they asked you to?
Willing in that whole situation, that's a given. But Marcus, I don't know if you remember, I think it was like 2009. We played the Titans. We played them twice that year, and they had Vince Young. And so we played them in the regular season. I was Vince Young, and I was tearing these boys up on
everybody
defense.
else.
I was tearing them up. And then a few weeks later, we played them in the playoffs, and I was doing it again. So yeah, I'd be willing to be out there and do it. Yeah.
Did you ever throw a pass? Was there ever like a reverse pass?
Well, that's what. Yeah. So in the league, I was 1,000%. I got 3. I'm 3 for 3.
Oh,
hey.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a nice.
No TDs. I got 1 to LT. I got 1 to Cam. I got 1 to
Cam Newton.
Third one too. Yeah.
And LT. That's a hell of a list to throw the ball.
Yeah, we had a double pass there. I had another one. I can't remember who my other one is.
I mean,
so you went three passes for three touch. You went three passes for three touches.
No. 3 for 3 comps.
Oh, okay.
Catches.
Okay.
0
All explosives though. All explosives though.
Now that you say that though, I do remember that because like you were trashing the defense. They did not know what to do with him because I think that was the problem. He was athletic, you know what I'm saying? And that's what they were trying to give with Vince Young being the quarterback with Tennessee. But it was so difficult. Like they were having so many problems the whole week, but you gave.
I was slinging on them. Like it got to the point where, so the first day, like I came out like you just gave my whole story, right? Like I wanted to go to the league to play quarterback, didn't happen. And so like for me, this is my opportunity right at practice. So I'm like, I'm gonna come out here and I'm gonna sling it. So the first day I'm out there and I'm slinging. I mean, it's cover 2. I'm feeding it down the middle. And Norv's like, look, I love it and everything, but the reason we have you back here is so that you run the ball.
Chill, man.
We can have anybody throw it.
Vince Young doesn't throw like that, man. Calm down.
That is hilarious. So you were like so pumped for this opportunity, and Norv had to burst your bubble. That's great.
Yeah,
that is really good. That is really good. Well, let's get into the sad news real quick of John Madden passing away at the age of 85. And I know that all of us here, at least myself, I know that all of us have had John Madden touch their lives in some sort of way. And Legedu, why don't you go first and just talk about what John Madden meant to you? Because all of us have stories about John Madden, like boom, tough acted, tenacted, stuff like that. So what are your thoughts?
We were talking about that before you hit record. Like for me, it was a part of like educating me on the game of football. Like I was a little guy watching the game and he would be using those terms, the sweeps, the pullers, all that. And you're just like watching it. And then, you know, you're going out there and you're playing and now you have more football IQ. So you're using these terms as you play football. And then there's the Madden game and you're playing that and you're emulating these guys and all that stuff. So for me, it was like, he was a huge part of the game for me. And then, you know, then as you're growing up, he was around the game forever, you know? So he was like through so many phases of your life as well. So definitely a huge loss.
Yeah. What about you, Marcus? What do you remember about John Madden? Unfortunately, we're talking about it.
Man, you know what? My favorite, I got an actual personal Madden story.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right.
So, and it can go both ways, but it's a personal one. I'll take it, right? So we get out the game. We just had the night game. So Madden them are doing it. It's a great game. I love Madden because he's always pumping me up, pubbing me.
Line love. Big guy love.
So I'm hype about it, right? So I come back and in the players' parking lot, that's where they park Madden's bus at, the one that he was infamous for driving around the country because he don't fly. So I come out, I see the bus. I'm not thinking nothing because I'm looking for my parents there in town. So I'm looking for my mom. I'm like, hey, anybody seen my mom? Ask Kasim, mom. Like, hey, y'all see my mom? Anybody? Like, no. Then somebody was like, hey, I think she got on the Madden bus. I said, she what? You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, ain't no way my mama about to be no Madden groupie on the Madden bus. You know what I'm saying? So I immediately march over to the bus and start beating on the door. Boom, 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 boom. And sure enough, mama. And sure enough, as soon as the bus over, first person you see, she's sitting there running her mouth. You know what I'm saying? Like she always do.
She's in the bus. Mama's in the bus.
I'm like, mama, get off that bus right now. Thank you, Mr. Man.
Hey,
Thank you.
Get off this. What pops to mind is that scene from Baby Boy where old man is cooking in the kitchen. Sorry, man. Sorry, I had to go there.
Oh man, yeah. So that was my Madden story, man. So but he was a good guy. I met him from there, man. He was just a wholesome guy, man. Just one of those people that everybody loves. So when I got the news and went across the ticker today, man, it kind of hurt the heart a little bit. It definitely stung.
So your mom got the personal tour of the Madden bus?
Of the Madden. I hope that's all she got, the personal tour.
That's amazing. I want a personal tour of the Madden bus.
Yeah, I didn't even get on the Madden bus. She got on the Madden bus. You know what I'm saying?
So he was eating his turducken in the back. He
got some food down.
What about you, Greg? What are your thoughts?
I know I don't have a story that good. That's for sure. My favorite thing, Madden 98, I would play with Barry Sanders, and you could not tackle the man. But this is back in the day where you couldn't get more than like 10 yards ahead, and you had to hit a donut and run back around everybody and then get going. But Madden, synonymous with the video game, man. Like he is football, video games. He is football, man. Major respect for John Madden.
Yeah, I just remember growing up that I was a huge 49 or I am a huge 49ers fan. And so he was the Fox guy, which they covered all the NFC games. And so a lot of the 49ers games growing up were done by John Madden and Pat Summerall. And now I would like to think that they're up in the sky doing games again together. That would be awesome. And I would give anything for them to call some game today. It would be great. But John Madden passing away at 85, and he lived a good one. He left us with a lot of good stuff from the game of football.
That would be a great NFL picture right there. Like both of them, like in the sky, you know what I'm saying? Kind of looking down over a night game with like their whole commentary, you know what I'm saying, bit going and just kind of looking on to, you know what I'm saying, the football world. That'll be a visual to see right
Talking
there.
about Jimmy G and how much he's terrible for blowing the game against the Tennessee Titans.
Can we dive into that last week game real quick?
Emotions are still running high, huh?
Oh, emotions are definitely still running high. And this whole thing with his thumb and Twitter is such an investigative platform, and it's so annoying because fans are always like looking for things, and then I get caught up and I'm looking for things now. Like I'm watching a video of him opening a water bottle. Can a guy with a broken thumb open a water bottle? and like, so he apparently hurt his thumb in that game, early in that game, and it's enough that it's a fracture. It's a whole thing. But he threw an interception in the end zone. He also overthrew Kyle Juszczyk, and he threw another interception. He didn't play well.
Yeah, there was some bad football.
So 49ers lose the game. Turns out it's okay because they're still in good playoff shape.
Greg. Let me tell you the one takeaway I have from that game.
Please.
The difference between a playoff team and a non-playoff team. The end of the third quarter, there's like 15 or something seconds left, but the play clock has more than 20 seconds left. It's 3rd and 22, I think it is. Like if the Niners stop them there, they get the ball back, they're sitting in good position. The Titans, knowing that they don't have to snap the ball, line up, fake count, hut, get them to jump off sides. Niners jump off sides. They get a free play, throw it up, completion, first down.
Oh, the AJ Brown play. So
yeah. That to me is a turnover, and that's pure coaching. The Niners were not ready, and that's something that I'm blanking on his name.
Kyle Shanahan.
Vrabel gets from watching Bill Belichick. That is smart coaching, smart football. That to me is the difference. But that's enough of my rant. Jimmy G wasn't good enough.
There's a lot there, man. Jimmy G hasn't been good enough for the last couple of years, right? There's been a lot of Band-Aids on it. There's been a lot of ways to cover it up, but they knew this. That's why they drafted a quarterback in the first round, right? It's just now evidence, proof is in the pudding now, right? So now we got to write it out, whether he played terrible and that's why, whether it's the fractured thumb, whether it's missing the playoffs, whatever the reason they want to put on it, your man ain't playing at a high level. It is what it is.
Greg's a huge Niner fan. It hurts him.
I'm a huge Niner fan, and I do believe in Jimmy G in the way he might not be the most pretty quarterback that plays quarterback.
He is pretty.
He is pretty, but he's not a pretty quarterback. He's not like Tom Brady. Don't even get me started about Tom Brady right now. But I just don't know. I think are they trying to get Trey Lance in here? I don't understand why they wouldn't have Trey Lance play this.
They're not trying to get Trey in there.
Better.
In my opinion, they're not trying to. If they were trying to get Trey in there, they already did it.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
They experimented early, and then they're like, okay, hit the brakes on it. So there's a reason they see these people every day. So that's what always blows my mind when like everybody else knows better than the people that see these dudes. You know how we'd be in the squad. They'd be raving about some dude, and we see these dudes every day. And it's like, yeah, he balled that. He had that one play, but like every day,
consistently, no.
I put my stamp of approval on that comment right there.
So, okay, well then Jimmy G is the best option for the 49ers to play quarterback. Yeah, that's what I don't get about the fan base.
I don't think so, because I think when you take a guy like Trey Lance in the first round, like now, if you coming in, you sitting behind an Aaron Rodgers, a Tom Brady. Absolutely. Sit there and soak up that knowledge. But there's nothing that I feel like you're really grabbing from Jimmy G that's going to like make your career that much better. So to me, I do the Peyton Manning effect, right? I put you in there. You're my quarterback. You might have a rough first year, but now you kind of get your feet wet. And now hopefully that next year
you're talking about a team that was expecting to go to the Super Bowl.
They're close.
Still are.
Like before the season, it ain't happening now. Let's just be real.
What?
It ain't happening now.
I mean, you being real though. You're being real though. But like,
it ain't happening now. But they were expecting the Super Bowl, so it's like, yeah, like that's the perfect plan. But it's like with their roster in that salary cap, they're like, we need to do it right now.
Jimmy G was never the reason why they were going to the Super Bowl. Not there.
Right.
You got Kittle, you got Deebo Samuel, you got
Raheem
the defense.
Like that's all right though. You don't need a superstar as a quarterback necessarily to get there. You just need somebody that can get the job done.
Give it to Trey Lance. Give it to Trey Lance.
I would have been all for Trey Lance taking over from day one. Just do it. Just rip the Band-Aid off. But they didn't. So they're stuck with Jimmy G the rest of the year, and I'm stuck with Jimmy G. I'm in a marriage that I don't love, but I'm trying to make it work.
That's very honorable.
Kudos to you.
All right, let me paint a picture for you. This is exactly what Legedu was saying. Alex Smith was the Niners quarterback because he was better than Kaepernick. Alex Smith gets hurt. Kaepernick comes in. He's the better quarterback, takes him to the Super Bowl. Same exact thing happened. Jimmy G got hurt. Trey Lance came in. He was not that good. And then Jimmy G came back in. That just goes to show exactly what Legedu's saying. They've seen enough of him. Right now, Jimmy G is their best chance to win.
I just don't understand the fan base and their want free Trey Lance. He's not just let's get over it fan base. Okay.
Hey, but the Niners got the Texans and then the Rams, and we don't know what the Rams will be playing for that last week. It might be nothing.
Texans just beat the Chargers, which was one of the worst losses.
Where did that come from?
But yeah, let's talk about that. Let's talk about that. I mean, the Chargers got just straight beat by the Texans and Davis Mills and
Stanford guy. Hey yo.
I don't know where to even start here, but this loss is such a bad loss because now they're on the outside looking in for the playoffs. And Marcus, you lead us off here. Anybody just jump in.
They just look discombobulated this week. You know, I love Justin Herbert. You know, he's one of those humble quarterbacks who just comes to play. You know, but he just looked a little disshuffled this week. You know, like and Houston for some reason always seems to be that team that has the Chargers number, and I don't know what it is. This is not the first year. I think a couple of years ago Houston came out here and beat us. We was up on them like 20 30, like almost 20 points, and they come back to win from behind. But the biggest thing that what happens at this part of the year is when you get some of those teams on the schedule that you feel like you're supposed to beat, you kind of take a little bit of lackadaisical approach to the game. And I think that's what happened with the Chargers, and they bit them in their butt. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, Big Mac, I got a question for you. Corey Linsley, their starting center was out. How much does that affect the rest of the line when the center is missing?
Everything, especially with a guy like Rashawn Slater, who's the left tackle, the Pro Bowl left tackle that they got. He's awesome, but that's where you get all your calls from, you know. So like you can't really the center is the quarterback of the offensive line. Like after we say Hut, we no longer are paying attention to what the quarterback's saying. I never listen to Phil anymore. I'm straight to Hardwick, you know, who was my center, and he's kind of quarterbacking the protection. Who's the middle, you know what I'm saying? We find the mic, and then from there, everybody can pick up their man. But if you don't have a quarterback that can come to the line and do that deliberately and quickly, you know what I'm saying? It's going to throw off the rhythm of the offense, especially the offensive line.
With that, I just think they met a team. So, like, we all know, like, there's certain teams that, like, you don't play enough to have that familiarity, you know? Like, everybody's paid to play. You do your scouting, but there's certain teams where you play them enough where you kind of know, like, okay, when you go there, you already know you got to buckle that chin strap. Or when you go there, there's going to be this aspect to the game. You know, like you're already prepped for those things. And I think that just where Houston's at with their organization and like, I mean, they're fighting for life as far as like players on that team, the bottom 60% of that roster. You know what I mean? They're fighting for their livelihood. So they're like, I got to still put good tape out here. I got to show up to play. There's probably guys getting opportunities that wouldn't normally get an opportunity that are out there trying to prove it. And you got, you know, you Cadillac in thinking, you know, you're looking at that record like Marcus was kind of hinting to, thinking you're about to come in here and just handle this. And it's like, nah. And they found out, got punched in the mouth.
I think that's easy to forget as a fan, it's easy to forget as a fan. What you just said is like those guys, when you look at a game as a fan and you're like, oh, it's between the Jets and the Jaguars, what shitty matchup. Like, I don't want to watch this thing. And then But those guys are all playing for their jobs. They're not taking the day off. They're playing because they need to make a living. And I think we forget about that as a fan all the time. We just look at the fantasy numbers and the shittiness of the fantasy numbers and all that stuff.
Like, even if you like listen to great players, all-time great players talk about playing guys that they weren't able to study on film, and like how they struggle with guys like that, like that's a big thing. So you have this guy out here and it's like, I don't know him. Like, it's different.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, you're definitely right. They to be honest, like some of my toughest games was like probably like the Tennessee Titans and stuff, like a team that we didn't see. We might see them every few years, but it wasn't a regular game, and it was just tough to get a read on. Kyle Vanderbosch was the guy who used to be there back in the day. I think he actually got 2 sacks. Nobody ever got any sacks on me, and this guy rips off 2
Nobody
of them.
ever?
Bro, I mean, yeah, here and there. You know what I'm saying? There were times I tripped or slipped and stuff like that, but 95% of the time, I say
that's
97.
Fair.
97% of the time, they not even know. They're not even in the picture, Greg. You know that.
Sorry, man. Just had to call you out.
I like it.
Hey, Lego, I gotta ask about your experience with Cam Newton. So we heard you throwing a pass to him, which is an outstanding thing to have on your resume. What have you seen enough from him this year for him to have another chance next year? So he fought hard to get back. He got his starting spot back. He bought out for a game or two, and then it's kind of been hit or miss. What have you seen from him?
I mean, obviously he's not playing at a level that's like you walk on any roster and you're the starter, right? Yeah. I mean, that's been proven. So I think that, but a little background for me. So like when I played with Cam, I went there when Chudzinski and Ron went there. So they were trying to implement what we did at the Chargers. So as far as the offensive scheme, Flutie, all the little calls we were doing there. So I'm like, I'm knowing what it's supposed to happen. I'm looking for the ball, so like, obviously he's a rookie. It's a learning curve. So it's a lot of that was going on. So
you locate the ball like it was bad. Like it was
oh, I mean, well, there's that too. But I'm just saying, as far as like being a well-oiled machine with
you were ready to go. Yeah, you've been doing it for years.
So you're like, okay, even when you're not getting the ball, like, okay, it's supposed to go. Oh, where the, you know what I mean? Like, where the ball's supposed to go. So I'm not saying
you also played with Phillip, so Phillip knows exactly where the ball's going to go.
And you know how Phillip, even the walkthrough, he's, as far as those calls Marcus was just talking about, on Wednesday, he's okay. When Mike does this and he's throwing it to the back, looking at the receivers, knowing the back ran that check swing on the left, and you're like, what? But he was dialed in like that. He was dialed in like that. So then I'm going with over here, and I'm like, it wasn't that. And then it's like when the ball misses, it's a jugs machine. It's like, that thing is going. That thing is going. Yeah. So there's all that, but like for him, I think he can still play in the league, no doubt about it. Maybe it's more situationally. Maybe you're not going to come in and be that guy. Maybe you got to come in with a different persona. Maybe you're not coming in with the splash. You're just going to come in and lunch pail it, whatever you need to do. But I mean, when you leave Bill, and I think Bill's one of the best coaches as far as figuring out that role, what you do well, we're gonna max that out. Yeah. And for them to have him there and to still like not see him in his best light, I felt like, like he still showed limitations when they were trying to put him in the best situation.
Yeah. I mean, he sucked last year too, though. All around.
True.
This hurts, y'all. I'm not gonna lie. This hurts a little bit. Y'all know Cam is like, God, no, that's my Auburn bro. That's my brother right there. So I want him to always do well, but he's just not playing good ball right now. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, is he 14 years in? 13 years in? How many years has he been in?
No, like 10.
Came in 2012, I think he came
12, in. Okay.
I mean, 2011, actually.
2011, yeah.
That's 10, 11 years. I mean,
all right, so he's not as
that's a good run for a quarterback that has taken as much physical pounding as he's taken. That is a damn good run. And
I think the biggest thing is like, because he came from he was the MVP of the league, so he's been the best player. So I think that's like what's so shocking to people, because he's been that dude for 9 years, 8 to 9 years out of that 10. Yeah. And then now it's like it's not that guy. So I think that's what's shocking. But I think he can still make an impact. Maybe it just looks different.
It doesn't get any lower than platooning with Sam Darnold. I'm sorry. It doesn't.
Right. Their whole situation they got going.
I mean, some of these quarterbacks that are still employed in the NFL, like
I'm joking, by the way. I'm not a quarterback in the NFL. I was joking. Marcus is looking at me like he wants to take me to so I just had to.
You
make
don't
sure
know what box I'm looking at. You don't know where you are on my screen. You don't know where you are on my screen.
All right, so Carson Wentz is he tested positive for COVID, the quarterback for the Colts. Speaking of a team who's trying to play into the playoffs, Adam Schefter tweeted earlier that Carson Wentz is out for COVID and he's out for 10 days and will miss the game against the Raiders this weekend. Now, because of these new guidelines, there is a little bit of a gray area because it went from 10 to 5, but I don't know how that plays out. So I was noticing on NFL Network that it was saying his status for Sunday is unknown. So they're going to have to figure that out. As of Tuesday night on December 28th, that's where we're at with Carson Wentz and his status. He is out for the game against the Raiders while they're fighting for a playoff spot. Now, I say all that to say, I want to ask you guys as former NFL players, and does it make you a bad teammate to be unvaccinated in a playoff run when you are the quarterback of the team? Does it make you a bad teammate for making that choice because you're missing a game due to a personal choice that the rest of the team may have bought in on?
I'll open. I mean, unless Marcus, you want to. I mean, I'll open unless Marcus, you had time.
Yeah, you got it, Lego. Let's hear you. Our featured guest for tonight. Put you in a controversial chair right now.
So I think, like, number one, I think that there's so many parameters that goes into that decision whether somebody's vaccinated or not, right? There's so many personal things that go into that just before we even say the playoff run or, you know, all that. So that's number one. So I think that day one, if his teammates, when you lock up in that locker room after camp, during camp, and you're saying what we're about to do, I'm sure they had that conversation and they were okay with whatever his reason was for why he didn't do it. I know that conversation came up, right? Like that's something that comes up in the locker room. So if that conversation came up at this point, obviously these rules are changing, so it's kind of changing the landscape, but I don't think it makes him a bad teammate unless there was an issue when they had that conversation. Like if there was an issue back then it's like, okay, that's where it could be that bad teammate could come in. But I think as far as like, it's been the same thing the whole season. So it's like now to be a bad teammate or not, I don't think that's the question.
Yeah,
I
it
think
doesn't matter.
It's like, did they have that conversation or did they not?
Yeah, it doesn't matter if
like
it's game 3 or game 16.
The hardest part though, it's like, we all know how it is. Like your quarterback, you lose that dude.
He's their guy.
Like, you can say what you want and you can feel what you want about how you play. But I mean, like you can bring somebody else in a lot of these positions and manage to get the job done. Your quarterback goes down.
Yeah, that's a tough one right there.
I've been a tough Carson Wentz critic, but this last week he made some outstanding throws. Like it's been the Jonathan Taylor show, but this last week Carson Wentz did some shit to win them games specifically.
We need to mark this because I think this might be the first time Greg ever said something positive about Carson Wentz.
I've been rough.
Well, as far as the play on the field, I don't think that he's necessarily elevating them anywhere. Like. Yeah. There was that game. It was 2 weeks ago. They were playing. Who'd they play 2 weeks ago? Does anybody know?
When he was 5 for 12.
He didn't have to throw the ball.
They win the game.
He didn't have like. There's points in that game early on where it was proven the running game was dominating and running the Patriots over, and then they had simple like little nakeds, right? Where it was like just take the guy in the flat. He's wide open. And he's bypassing him to go to level 2 because he's trying to make like a splash in the play, like I'm here type play. It's no. Get with the program. Let's win this game. Like, we don't care what you got going on or how you're trying to look. Let's win this game. And he did it like 3 times, and all 3 of those drives were punts. But like, I mean, they were winning the game. But I'm looking like, dang, this dude is something else because really you're supposed to just make the play and keep it going. But he was trying to like, you could tell he was trying to like, we're winning because of me, not because of this, but because of you know, like he was trying to show out. I saw that.
Really
I'm like, ooh, that's a red flag.
Because most people that legitimately have contact with him or see him or whatever or understand the body language say that. But then, you know, we had Darren Sproles who was like he
tried his best.
Yeah.
Wait, what are you trying to do?
Oh, Carson, he's good at that RPO. He's really good at that RPO.
See, and he was in that locker room.
Yeah, he was.
So Marcus, back to the vaccination and everything. I like what you said, Legedu, about making you a bad teammate or not. If they did have that conversation, I think that's a totally different thing. You can't go back on your word and be pissed off later on in the season. But Marcus, what do you think about the whole thing? And does it make him a bad teammate?
It doesn't make him a bad teammate to me. I've been saying this since we were talking about this early in the season. I think everybody has a choice. Everybody has their own choice of what they're going to do. I ask that you don't underhandedly do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't come out and tell me, oh, I am vaccinated and I'm not
Aaron
vaccinated.
Rodgers.
Or don't come with the vaccination cards telling me, hey, here you go.
Brown.
You know what I'm saying?
Hey, don't ask Antonio Brown about that because he's not going to answer you.
Yeah, so that's where your character take hits at now. But if you stood on what you were saying at the beginning, it was like, hey, guys, hey, I'm not comfortable taking the vaccination. Or, hey, guys, yeah, I did take the vaccination. Then that's your choice. You know what I'm saying? So I can deal with that. But that's me personally. Now, are there other guys who are going to be pissed off when you can't play? They probably will be, you know what I'm saying? But we're talking about Carson Wentz here and then like a Tom Brady. Now, if I lose Tom Brady, then like now you or Lamar Jackson, now my Super Bowl hopes, my playoff run, everything is pretty much in the toilet.
So if Tom Brady is the one who tests positive, he's unvaccinated, does it make him a bad teammate?
No, he's Tom Brady.
Tom Brady's not even on that program. You already saw his whole team was vaccinated.
Yeah,
like we ain't playing that.
Kind of fake vaccinated, but at least vaccinated.
but that goes to show what type of program he was running. You better fake it before you
100%
come here with the bull.
100%.
Great point.
I'm glad you're here, man. That's
great point.
100%. That's the Tom Brady program. Don't fuck this up for me.
For me,
right?
Greg,
now,
I've been waiting.
Turn.
I've been waiting.
I'm 100% bad teammate. Does that make you a bad person? No. Does that make you a bad teammate? Absolutely. Because I have busted my ass for 17, 18 weeks to try to get a shot at the championship. And your decision that you weren't willing to put your body on the line for this team is fucking up my chance at the championship. And I look at it as equivalent if some coaches told me to go bust a wedge, which I had no business doing because I couldn't physically accomplish it. But I did it. And it was bad for my body. It was bad for my soul. But it was good for the team and it was good for my career.
How can you blame players, right? But if owners don't even care whether or not their teams are winning Super Bowls and championships. They're more worried about filling up stands. They're more worried about their TV contracts and stuff like that. So to me, it's a money play or this is a business more than it is anything else. So if I miss out on this week because of whatever reason, because if you're vaccinated or unvaccinated, you can still catch it. So regardless if you have
but
it
your
or not,
chances are less and your protocols are less if you're vaccinated.
The protocols are the same now. They're the same.
No, it's not.
It's the same.
It is now.
It is
now.
It
They
is
said
now.
vaccinated or unvaccinated. They changed that with the 5 days.
So last week, Joey Bosa was unvaccinated and got COVID and was sat out because he was unvaccinated. And so people have lost games. Aaron Rodgers, people have lost games because they were unvaccinated. And that one game can be the difference of making the playoffs, can be the difference of a wild card, can be the difference of a home field advantage. Or
you guys are saying that Carson Wentz doesn't elevate them at all. I think Sam Ellinger is the backup quarterback in Indianapolis, and he's got. So
that's what I was going to ask Greg. So Greg, okay, say that situation that I presented happened, right?
Yeah.
You break camp, you're going into week 1, and like you clearly don't like it. So you step to Carson. You go to Carson and you had that conversation. So what
has to be someone with clout like Tom Brady?
But right. So you guys had that conversation. He says whatever he says, but at the end of the conversation, he's not getting vaccinated. How do you move different? How do you address that?
I mean, ultimately you don't have a choice. That doesn't mean I can't be mad at you. Like I can't force him to do it. Or who was which one of those called? Fucking Urban Meyer. I should never bring him up as an example. But he told me that I'm cutting people because they're unvaccinated. And we know that happened. It's all a matter of value versus the shit I'm willing to tolerate. Antonio Brown, that motherfucker is good at football. but he's got a lot of nonsense. If he wasn't so good at football, we wouldn't tolerate his nonsense.
Stop asking him about his vaccination card, okay, Greg?
But it goes to say, Aaron Rodgers, Carson Wentz, they're good at football, and Aaron Rodgers is clearly better. So you're willing to tolerate it. If this is a backup quarterback and he's unvaccinated and gets COVID, well,
no one cares.
Exactly.
No
But
one cares.
To me, I can be upset at his choice because it's fucking up my chance at a championship, which goes to Marcus's comment. You're fucking up my chance at money too.
I also think this whole conversation has changed in the last 8 hours with the way that the NFL has changed into the new policies, because 10 days means Mike Williams for the Chargers wide receiver, he's out 2 games because he's unvaccinated. And I think that changes everything, because now I'm saying you are a bad teammate if you're missing 2 games, even, but now it's 10 days to 5 days for each.
Right now, with these rules they have right now, nobody's missing a game. We all know that.
No,
nobody missing a game.
You're right. They're going to adjust them. They're going to finagle them. But Mike Williams missed a week of practice just because he was in the room with Keenan Allen, who was positive.
That's a real impact on the game. If you're missing practice, or if multiple people are missing practice, but they're still going to play in the game. But that prep time, that's a big impact.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. Mike Williams, he's a beast when he wants to be, and the Chargers.
He's about to get paid. By the way, somebody's going to give him that.
Do the Chargers pay him?
Can they? I don't know. They're capped. Oh man.
I don't think their cap room is great, but I'm not an expert on the Chargers.
You got to keep weapons for Herbert. I don't know. What do you think?
I don't think they do, and I think it's a mistake. I think they went too heavy on another route. They went too heavy, I think.
Is that on Keenan?
Yeah, I think they went too heavy because, you get that element that Mike brings to the game. Like, nothing can be going right, and you throw it up. That boy's going to get it. You know what I mean? Like,
red zone.
That's an element right there.
He's become their deep threat. Like, when they didn't have speed, they just were like, well, shit, he's fast enough and tall enough.
50-50.
Yeah. Yeah, man. The guy's a weapon.
He definitely is a weapon. And anything else before we close it up? Marcus, you got anything?
No, I mean, I want to see them keep Mike Williams because, like, you always want to have a mean wide receiving crew, and they have a mean wide receiving crew. They got the route running in Keenan Allen, and then they have the Mike Williams that they can throw it up to. Even Austin Eckler out the backfield is a great receiver. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So you want to keep those weapons for your quarterback, but historically over the years, I have seen the Chargers let go of some of their best talent. So I don't have the most faith in them keeping him, especially with the price tag that he's going to come with. So I would hate to see him on a new team, but it just looks like that's the way it might end up.
In the good news, the Chargers are second in next year's cap space. Dolphins have 77 million. Chargers have 73 million.
Well, I told you I wasn't an expert.
The exact opposite.
They didn't have any.
With Herbert under his rookie contract, you got to make a run for it.
Push those chips in, right?
Got to go for it. Like the Rams, it's like you just got to go for it, man. This is it.
Just do it.
Man.
All right, we're gonna wrap up here. But did you, Legedu, did you want to talk about what you've been doing? Or I know you and Greg were talking about something earlier, and I'll edit this out. Did you want to mention what's up and where to find you?
Yeah.
And all that?
Well, before we were talking about, we were catching up on old times first, but then we were kind of talking about what I've been working on, which is it's a digital performance business for athletes that want to play on the next level. So it's not like your rec athlete, anything like that. But the real thing that I've been seeing with athletes is that, especially here in San Diego, there's so many dudes with talent that just never seem to get found, or it never worked. And it blows my mind every time. And the thing about it is you really have to be like on a different path. Like you really have to be a different person, because they show the statistics. 1% does this, 7% goes to the college level, all that. But it's like, you have to be a certain type of person to get in those doors and through those funnels. And so a lot of athletes that have the tools, that have the passion, that love the game, that are willing to work, don't have these other tools that are going to be the thing that's going to elevate them or maximize their potential. And so I just try to help athletes condition those tools, first of all, be aware of them, then condition them. So that way, when it's time to show up, you're able to do it. And those are things that we learn on the pro level that a lot of guys aren't even aware of, that they learn just from survival of the fittest type thinking. It's like you have to figure out, how do I add value? How do I get my game right? Okay, they're bringing in this guy at every position, like Greg was talking about. At every position, every year, they're bringing in somebody and there's only so many spots. The spots aren't growing. So you have to be able to figure out ways to play at your highest level. And you can't really focus on who you're competing against, because if you're balling and you're doing your thing and somebody beats, at least me, if I'm doing my thing and somebody beats me, I can live with that. But if I go home and I'm like, dang, I didn't even give them what I had, like I can't live with that. Absolutely. So just giving people that opportunity to chase their dreams with the tools that I learned throughout my career.
I love it, man. That's awesome. Yeah. Taking that knowledge that you built over years of hard work and trying to help the youngsters figure it out quickly.
Is there a place people can find more information?
Yeah, it's Pro Academy. So proacademy.io is the website. And Pro Academy is everything. So like I have some YouTube videos, little tutorials that I do for stuff like that. But just focusing on growing that and getting that going.
All right.
Awesome, man. We'll keep an eye out for that. Lego, I want to just appreciate you for coming on, man.
Yeah.
Providing that third opinion. It's great that the four of us could go back and forth, have very different opinions, very different takes, even on controversial stuff like COVID. So, man, I appreciate you joining Two Pros and a Joe.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. It was fun.
Yeah, it was fun. twoprosandajoe.com for everything. And in the next episode number 50, we are going to get wild because it's episode number 50.
Hey-yo,
that's
big
what we do. Actually, we're going to talk about Ian Book. We're going to talk about whether or not playing last night was a good opportunity for him. So we'll talk about that in episode 50. twoprosandajoe.com. Thanks to everyone for listening. We'll be back with that episode next.